Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're uncorking a very specific bottle, exploring a single source that gives us a really fascinating snapshot of the wine world back in 2025. We are talking about the 2022 Napa Valley Sauvignon Blanc from Robert Mondavi. Our mission, like always, is to pull out the most important insights from the material shared by one of our fantastic listeners. We're diving into a review from Wineful Living by Mia Gibson. It was published just last year, 2025. And Mia gives us this really candid personal take on this vintage. Her experience, well, it tells us a lot about how tastes might be evolving. Okay, picture this. It's a random Tuesday. You've just wrapped up a day of those, back-to-back Zoom calls. It could have been emails. And you're just craving something refreshing, something that doesn't require, thinking too hard. That's exactly where Mia found herself when she reached for this bottle, priced at $35. Which puts it in that interesting middle ground, right? Not super cheap, but not exactly a special occasion-only bottle either. So the big question, did it deliver?
And maybe more importantly, what can Mia's experience tell you about the direction white wines are headed? So Mia takes that first sip. What was her immediate reaction? And what score did she actually land on for this 2022 Napa Sauvignon Blanc?
Well, her immediate reaction led her to give it a solid 7.8 out of 10. And what's really interesting is how she broke that down. She noted a bright citrus profile, but importantly, she said it wasn't puckering. So you get that lemon-lime vibrancy, but it's not overly tart, Then there were these pleasant stone fruit notes kind of rounding things out in the middle, and also some subtle herbaceous qualities, enough to clearly say, okay, this is Sauvignon Blanc. She also mentioned a nice medium body, felt substantial, but definitely not heavy. Her main critique, though, and the thing that kept it from hitting an 8 or higher, was this slight bitter finish that doesn't quite resolve.
A slight bitter finish. Interesting. That was the main thing holding it back, especially since, as you said, she was quite surprised by its overall balance. She specifically pointed out it's not one of those aggressively grassy New Zealand styles that scream, "I am Sauvignon Blanc" from across the room. And just for listeners, that grassiness always means those like bell pepper or strong gooseberry notes.
Pyrazines, right. Exactly, those pyrazine notes. And that distinction she makes is key. That balance, the controlled acidity, it makes the wine really approachable. Even if you're not usually a big Sauvignon Blanc fan, or maybe you've been put off by those bolder styles before, it definitely points to a specific winemaking style, doesn't it? Aiming for nuance, maybe harmony, rather than just hitting you over the head with the varietal character. And that's hinting at something broader than just this one wine, I think.
That's a great point. So beyond the score, Mia really painted a picture of the wine's character. What was that sensory journey like? When she actually poured it, smelled it, tasted it?
Yeah, the aromas right away were quite pleasant. She picked up Meyer lemon, green apple, and a hint of fresh-cut grass. But she made this great distinction in that pleasant way that reminds you of spring, not lawnmower maintenance.
That's a very vivid description.
Isn't it? And she appreciated that the nose wasn't, overwhelming after her long day. Then the first sip delivered grapefruit and lemon zest. Pretty classic. But as it opened up a bit in the glass, she found distinct white peach and nectarine notes coming through mid-palate. That's a lovely stone fruit character, adds a nice layer of complexity. And she even mentioned a whisper of something floral that's hard to pin down, maybe elderflower.
Ooh, that whisper of something floral. Nice. So really, that one little lingering slight bitterness on the finish was the only real downside she noted. But she did like the weight, that satisfying medium body.
Exactly. And this actually brings us to something important she discovered, a way to improve the experience. She actually recommends giving it maybe 15-20 minutes to breathe after you pour it. Just that simple aeration, letting it interact with a bit of oxygen. It can really transform a wine, softens any harsh edges, lets the aromas open up. She found that after about 30 minutes, the wine softened considerably. The fruit notes became more obvious, and that slight bitterness seemed to pull back. It's a small step, but can make a big difference.
That's a fantastic tip. So Mia wasn't the only one curious about this bottle. She looked into some online reviews, and it seems people were kind of split, two distinct camps. That's interesting. What did those differing opinions tell us about what people were expecting?
Yeah, it showed a really fascinating split in what people want from a Sauvignon Blanc, I think. Some reviewers really loved its restraint, its subtlety, echoing Mia, really, while others, they wanted more boldness, more pop. Like one verified buyer called it perfectly balanced for summer afternoons, not too sharp, like some New Zealand options. That lines up with Mia. But then another person commented it was bright and food-friendly, though lacking the complexity I expected at this price point. So it seems Mia's experience kind of reflected both sides. She appreciated the balance, but also noted it wasn't maybe a huge wow.
Right. So what does all this suggest about the bigger picture? Wine trends. Mia observed, quote, a trend in 2025 where wine drinkers are gravitating toward more nuanced whites rather than the intensely aromatic styles that dominated the previous decade. What do you think might be driving that shift? Is it just palate fatigue, maybe?
Yeah.
Or wanting wines that work better with food? Or something else?
Well, it's probably a mix of things, isn't it? Drinkers are maybe getting more sophisticated, moving beyond just the loudest wine in the room. And yeah, as food culture changes, people often look for wines that complement food rather than just dominate it. Makes sense. This move towards nuance could also reflect winemakers focusing more on balance, elegance, maybe expressing the vineyard, the terroir, rather than just pure grape power. This Mondati seems to be right in line with that trend, though like we heard, not everyone agrees if that's a good thing. Mia even mentioned her friend Jess, who usually prefers reds. Jess actually enjoyed this bottle because it doesn't have that overpowering grassiness that had put her off Sauv Blanc before, which really highlights, its potentially broader appeal.
That versatility, that broader appeal, that's key. Okay, let's get practical. How can you, the listener, best enjoy this particular Sauvignon Blanc if you pick up a bottle? Mia did some experimenting. What did she recommend?
She found it pretty versatile, yeah, but it really sang with certain dishes. Her top recommendations were things like citrus marinated grilled shrimp or scallops. Makes sense, right? Citrus with citrus, fresh goat cheese or a light feta salad, fish tacos with a squeeze of lime. Also light herb-forward dishes like a classic French omelet, or Mediterranean mezher plates with hummus and olives. But crucially, she advises against pairing it with anything heavy, like cream sauces or rich tomato dishes. Those would likely clash with the wine's acidity and probably emphasize that slight bitter finish. So the basic idea is complement the citrus notes and match the medium body.
Good advice. And beyond food, temperature is always important. Mia found it showed best around 45-50 Fahrenheit. Now, for our listeners really keen on getting the best out of their wine, what's the reason for that specific temperature range for a white like this? How does it affect what you taste?
Oh, it's absolutely crucial. Get it too cold, say, straight from a really icy fridge, below 45 degrees Fahrenheit. And those aromatic compounds kind of lock down. You won't smell those subtle peach or floral notes Mia mentioned. It can also make the acidity and any bitterness feel sharper, harsher. But if you let it get too warm, maybe above 55 degrees Fahrenheit, the alcohol starts to dominate. The wine can feel kind of flabby, unfocused, and any flaws become more obvious. So that 45, 50 degrees aero sweet spot, that lets the fruit, the acidity, the complexity, everything express itself in harmony. You get the full picture.
That makes perfect sense. Okay, so considering everything Mia observed, the taste, the market reaction, those serving tips, we come back to that $35 price tag. How did she ultimately assess its value looking at the 2025 market?
Yeah, the price is always a factor. In 2025, $35 puts this squarely in the, let's say, mid-tier for quality white wines. Not entry-level, not high-end luxury. And Mia made a really good point that, value isn't just about the liquid. Things like the brand's reputation, Mondavi, is obviously huge. The specific vintage, the region, Napa Valley, they all play a part in that perceived value. Just for context, you could find decent Sauvignon Blanc starting maybe around $15, $20 back then, while the really premium stuff from top producers could easily hit $50, $75 or more.
Right. So Mia was hoping for something maybe memorable at $35. Not just pleasant. Did she feel it quite got there?
Well, the quality itself, undeniably there. This isn't some generic grocery store wine, you can tell. And the 2022 vintage was generally pretty good for Napa whites, balanced conditions, so the wine shows care in how it was made. Now, while Mia felt it maybe fell slightly short on delivering a big wow factor, she did confirm she'd buy it again, especially if she was entertaining friends who like approachable, well-made whites. Her final take was basically, it's not a steal, but it's not overpriced either. It's reliable.
Reliable.
Yeah.
Aye, so after this really thorough deep dive into Mia's review, who's the ideal person to grab this bottle? Who is this wine really for?
Yeah, based on her review, it paints a pretty clear picture. It seems perfect for white wine drinkers who find those New Zealand Sauvignon Blancs maybe a bit too aggressive, too grassy, or for someone looking for a dependable, kind of elegant bottle for a casual dinner party, something safe but good. Also, wine enthusiasts who actually appreciate subtlety over sheer boldness, anyone curious about exploring how versatile whites can be with food, and maybe gift givers looking for something with name recognition that won't disappoint.
Makes sense. And conversely, who should maybe skip it?
Well, she suggested it wouldn't be the top pick for someone hunting for the absolute most bang for their buck. There might be other options if pure value is the goal. And definitely not for wine lovers who prefer those highly aromatic, really intense, in-your-face styles of Sauvignon Blanc. This isn't that. Exactly. Hey, she even noted the bottle itself, classic Robert Mondavi, right?
Yeah.
Elegant, understated, recognizable label. Mia described the wine inside as confidently pleasant rather than boldly impressive. And I love this analogy she used. It's like that reliable friend who always shows up when invited. Not the life of the party, but someone you're genuinely happy to see. It just delivers reliable quality, good balance, and enough character to be interesting. But it's not trying to be challenging. It knows its lane.
What a great journey through just one single bottle. We've learned that this 2022 Napa Sauvignon Blanc from Mondavi at $35 in 2025 offers something nuanced, something balanced. It's deliberately different from some of its more assertive cousins. We've rediscovered the importance of small things like aeration and getting the temperature just right, and how a wine like this can really shine with the right food.
Yeah, this deep dive really underlines how those seemingly small details, understanding why you let a wine breathe or why that temperature matters, can actually profoundly enhance your experience, your appreciation. It kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other simple actions, maybe moments of patience, could reveal hidden depths or bring greater enjoyment in other parts of life? Beyond just wine, I mean, if we just gave them a moment to open up.
That is a truly great question to ponder. We certainly hope this deep dive helps you navigate that often crowded white wine landscape with hopefully a bit more insight and definitely a lot more curiosity.